Alright, here we go with the Bell's Two-Hearted Ale clone attempt with the brand new motorized grain mill. Strike water coming up, the temperature should be pretty close. We're looking for about, I'm going to put it in at about 170 so that it can warm up the mash tun. It's right over there. And get down to 161.3. Maybe I'll go in a little lower, 170. But anyway, here's the ingredients. I got 10 pounds of 2-row, 2 pounds of Vienna malt. I got 2 pounds of the crystal malt and dextrin malt, but only half of each of those bags is going to go in. So I'm going to measure all these out, put them in the bucket, and then put them through the grain mill, and I will videotape the grain mill part, because that part's kind of cool. Alright, here we go with the grind. We got 13 pounds of grain, the old school motor on the pulley to the, I think that's a 5-inch wheel, so I think my RPMs are going to be a little bit too high. But that's the biggest one I could find right now, or we could find. So we'll see just how fine that gets ground up. We'll see what kind of sparge we get. Here's the mash tun ready to go. Hopefully that bulkhead is still watertight. There's the strike water. It's a little too hot right now, but that gives me time to come over here and get all this ground up. This will be the first run with the motorized grain mill, so let's make sure the motor still works. It's strong. Down into the side of the bucket. Alright, that's number one. Let's see if this will start under load. So there's just a little bit of grain in there. Alright, let's see here. I'd say yeah. Let's see if it went to the bucket. There it is. That might be a little too fine. But that's what it is for today. So we will see. Definitely going to need a bigger hopper. Some kind of contraption. But I think that's about 3 pounds. Let's see how quick that gets. So much better than hand. Yeah, that's kind of fine. We'll see. it is. 13 pounds in about a minute. That's a workhorse. Let's see. That's about perfect. Next step, I'm going to put the pH buffer into my mash tun while it is heating. Oh, the mash tun is getting up to temp. Let's see. That goes in. Supposedly that locks the pH in at 5.2. And it is, can't see that, but it says 161, which is exactly what my strike temp is supposed to be for my grain being about 75. So that's 4 1/3 gallons of water, so that's 13 pounds of grain times about 1.33 quarts, so it comes out to about 4 1/3 gallons. So now let me stir that in pretty good. It's holding at about 161 pretty good. Shut this for just another minute. And then I'm gonna add this grain. So there's some husk in there, so we'll see what kind of grain bed I get. Here's the mash, and it looks like it's at 151. So that's almost perfect. I was shooting for 150. So here it is. If that's not the best smell in the world, I don't know what is. So now, it's at 152. After all the grain is in. So what I'm going to do now is shut the lid, set the timer for an hour, and let all that starch convert into sugar, and then we'll drain and sparge. So here's what's going on in the meantime while the grain is out there with all the starch turning over to sugar. So here is my primary fermenter. You can see that bubbler airlock, the cork. I don't usually use that one, but I can't find the middle piece to this airlock. So I'll go with that one and we'll see what happens. I'm also going to be filling up a new bottle of water and mixing up a new thing of star sand to sanitize everything once we get post boil. Alright, we're about 30 minutes into the mash, so I'm going to check the temperature and give it a quick stir. Oh, that's perfect. It's 150. Exactly what we're looking for. Man, that smells good too. Quick stir to make sure everything's wet. Grain bed doesn't look too bad, so hopefully the sparge will be alright. Shut it. Not open it again until we're ready to go. 150 on the dot. Alright, here's what we got going now. There's about 20 minutes left in the mash. So I got my collection bucket cleaned and my spoon is all cleaned up. And I've got my sparge water. I'm going to sparge. I put in 4 1/3 there, so I'll get out, we'll see, somewhere under 3 gallons. I've got 3 gallons in here. I'm going to sparge with that. I'm going to shoot for about 180 degrees sparge water temperature. So I fired that up with about 20 minutes left. So hopefully by the time that is drained and into the bucket, the sparge water will be ready to go, and I won't miss much time. I'll just be able to keep on rolling. Sanitation right now, this stuff has been cleaned, it's been washed, but it's not sanitized like I will for everything else that comes after the boil. So I don't want bad sanitation right now, but I don't think it's going to make or break the beer. So this is what's going on right now. In about 20 minutes I'll drain that and we'll get ready for the boil. There's my assistant. Say hey, man. Can you say hello?
Why is my stool out here?
I had to use it.
You want to use it?
Yeah. You can take it back in now, though. Thank you for letting me borrow that. See you later. Alright, we're up to about, that's getting close to 200. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. And then this says we got about 6 minutes left on the mash. So hopefully that 6 minutes will give that enough time to cool back down a little bit. I'd rather be too hot than too cool, because I can just add a little bit of cool water to that and get it down to where I need it. So I'm looking for 180 for my sparge temp. So 6 minutes and then I'll show you what I do for the boil with the hops. Alright, so it's been mashing for 1 hour and it's only lost 2 degrees. It looks like it's 148, so that's not bad for holding its temperature for an hour. So now we do the drain. Let's see if I can turn this. Alright, fingers crossed. Here we're going to start with the Vorlauf to get the drippings out. Okay, there goes my battery. So here's the first running. 4 1/3 gallons in. And let's see. Right at 1.25 gallons. Still coming pretty strong. So we'll see what we get out of the first gallon, or first runnings. Then once that's drained, I've got 3 gallons of sparge water resting. It's right at 180 now, so that's perfect. That's what I'm looking for. And as you can see, the grain bed's settled alright. No stuck sparge or anything yet. So far so good. We'll see what the original gravity turns out to be. I think I'm looking for 1064 on the original gravity. I think the final gravity is somewhere around 1010. So 1064 is the goal. We'll see what we get out of this. Alright, first runnings. 4 gallons in. What's that about? A little less than 2 gallons out. And then 3 gallons of sparge water, about 180 degrees added. I'm gonna shut that, let it sit for about 5 or 10 minutes just to let that grain bed settle. And I'm gonna dump this, which is my wort, into the boil kettle. Alright, the goal is 6 gallons total in there. So what I need, I got 2 gallons off the first runnings. I got 2.75 off the second running. So I need about 1.25 gallon off of this third running. And then I've already got this boiling. You can see the foam starting on top. It says this is about a little more than 175, but I can tell this thermometer is not that great because according to it, water boils at about 225. So I've still got a little bit of time. Hopefully it'll match up so that I can put this last 1.25 gallons in there, and then not have too long to wait before it boils, and then I will start my timer. The boil is for 60 minutes, and I need to go get my hops ready. Alright, I gotta hurry with this one. Here's the hops, and they smell great. This is all Centennial hops, 9.6 AAUs. So the schedule is 1 ounce at 60 minutes, 1 ounce at 15, 1 ounce at 5, 1 ounce at 1. And then it says ½ ounce, but I'll probably go ahead and do the whole ounce for 5 days of dry hopping once it goes into the secondary. So, hops go into hop bag, and we're getting, it's about to boil there. I've got that last 1.25 ounces there, or 1.25 gallons there, that's going into the boil kettle. I don't have enough hands to film the hot break and me fighting it with my bottle of water, but I'm gonna catch this hot break, add that, and then catch the hot break, hopefully, and then add some hops. Here we are, real quick before it catches back up. I try to keep it from boiling over. First ounce of hops is in. Maybe it's gonna be a little bit longer than 60 minutes. So it'll be kind of a mix between 60 minutes and first wort hops, I guess. As you can see, this thing says 212, and it's not boiling yet. So the thermometer is not the greatest in the world, but it is consistent. 225, that should start boiling. I got my water here. I got my spoon there, ready to do battle. Alright, hit the hot break and didn't have any spillover, boil over. You can see that, but that's what happens when you boil over. For whatever size turkey fryer this is, 6 gallons is the perfect amount to collect, because it gives you enough room for it to catch that hot break. It comes all the way to the top, and if you spray it down, spray it back a little bit, it holds it perfectly. So 6 gallons collected, gonna boil for an hour, figuring 1 gallon boil off for every hour, so 52 minutes later I should have 5 gallons of what's going to be Bell's Two-Hearted Ale. You can see the corner of that hot bag sticking out. That one went in right before it started boiling. I didn't start my timer until it did actually boil, so 60 minutes or maybe a little bit more, almost first wort hops on that. Next bag is going in at 15 minutes. So 15 minutes left in the boil. I'm going to add another ounce of Centennial, and then with 5 minutes an ounce and then 1 minute an ounce, which is gonna be a problem because I only have 2 more hot bags left. So hopefully the secondary fermenter will help me catch some of what's left over there and pull it out. It's not gonna hurt me, I don't think, but it might not be real clear, but oh well. So what's going on while that's boiling is clean up. And here's what's left in the mash tun. 13 pounds of grist. So I think you can compost this, but I don't have a compost pile, so I'm gonna scoop it all out, hose this all out, dump it in the woods. And I'm gonna get my immersion chiller ready to go. It's kind of thin, but it does the trick for these if you're just doing a 5-gallon batch, I guess. It's a whole bunch of copper tubing twisted up, and it's got a little aquarium pump on the end line. So I stick that aquarium pump down in this bucket full of ice water, and then this actually goes down in the boil kettle, and I pump ice cold water through it, and it comes out. That hose over there starts out hot as hell, but it will get that from about 212 down to 75 degrees in maybe 30 minutes, which is it's pretty good considering how far that temperature has to drop. And it's probably going to be my next upgrade as a bigger immersion chiller. But that's what that looks like. It will actually go into the boil kettle with about 15 minutes. I'm going to wash it down with soap and water, but to make sure, because we're getting close to the time when sanitation is really important, that's going to go in with about 10 minutes left to go in the boil so that it will be sanitized, and I don't have to worry about any bacteria getting in from that. So time for the least favorite part of this whole deal, cleaning all that up. Alright, boiling away. Got about 30 minutes left in the boil. Not a whole lot to do right now. Once it hits 15 minutes though, it's pretty busy for the next hour. So to get set up, let's see. Mash tun cleaned up, manifold cleaned, bulkhead cleaned, spoon is being washed. I need that in a little bit. There's my grain bucket. I got my bucket of water that's gonna run the immersion chiller, ready to go. Once it starts, I'll put some ice packs in there to try to cool that water down as cool as I can get it. But for the next 15 minutes, it's just boil away. Alright, 15 minutes, almost left in the boil. So you get 1 teaspoon of Irish moss goes in, and that will help it clear up the final products. Hopefully that'll help catch those loose hops. And then I just put in right before that the 2nd ounce of Centennial hops. So 15 minutes Irish moss and ounce number 2 of Centennial hops. Now 10 minutes the immersion chiller is going to go in. It's not going to start running, it's just going to go in to get sanitized. And then at 5 minutes the next ounce of hops goes in. 5 minutes left in the boil. Immersion chiller in, getting sanitized. I'm going to drop the phone in. And third edition of hops is just going straight in the boil. So that's gonna make it nice and muddy. You can see it foam up good. Changes up the smell good. No hot bag, but it'll get the job done. Look at it foam. Man, that smells good. Alright, here's post boil. Turkey fryer unhooked. Boil kettle moved into the ice bath. Everything from here on out is all about sanitation. I got the lid on as much as I can to keep anything from falling in it. Everything that touches the wort from here on out has to be sanitized, so that's why there's the spoon and the star sand. There is, you can see, the pump with the ice cold water. It runs up through the line into there. Let's see. It's going in at, take a quick reading. I don't know, somewhere around 50, and it's coming out at 165, 170, somewhere in there. So it's definitely exchanging the heat. So it's been in that ice bath for maybe 5 minutes. I'll have to keep filling that bucket back up. I'll add a couple more ice packs, and then I'm going to wait for that temperature to drop all the way down to whatever the yeast pitching temperature is. I think it's about, if I can get it to 70, 75 degrees, I'll be happy. Here is the final product. You can't see it, but it's right at 5 gallons. That S-shaped bubbler airlock. Haven't used one of those. I've used it on the secondary fermenter, but not on the primary, so we'll see how it does. Hopefully it doesn't get pushed out or clogged up or any of that stuff. So right at perfectly 5 gallons into the fermenter, which will make right at 48 beers. And here is what it looks like. The sun's kind of bright. But if you look at it, we're shooting for original gravity around 1050 something. And let's see what this is. This is a lot higher than that. This is original gravity 1060. 1066. Oh, it's kind of fuzzy, you can't see it, but 1066. So a little higher, but I guess that means my whatever you call it coming out of the mash tun was all right. My efficiency. So 1066 today. We'll see what it is. It's going to sit in that primary for about 2 weeks, and then go into the secondary with dry hops for 2 more weeks. And then, unfortunately, because I don't have a kegging system, it will go into bottles in about a month. So about a month and 10 days from now, we'll have 48 or 2 cases worth of Bell's Two Hearted Ale. I forgot to film the yeast rehydration and pitching, but I used Safe Ale 04. Rehydrated it, cooled the wort down to right at 80, and then pitched it. So that blue tub will eventually be turned into, I think it's called a swamp cooler. I'll fill that up with ice, and then keep adding ice to it, hopefully to try to maintain at least 75 degrees lower if I can get it, but with it being so hot outside, that's probably about as good as we can do. So we'll check back in about 2 weeks.